this works this time. Last time it was a little rocky.
Assuming your Office 365 data is automatically backed up can feel a lot like this.
And once again, ladies and gentlemen,
Backing up Office 365 data with Veeam feels like this. So back it up with Veeam.
Awesome. Go ahead and share your screen, Peter, and take it over. Thanks so much.
Okay. You should see my screen.
We do.
All right. Okay, so I was going to. Do you want to put everyone on unmute everyone until I make it conversational? So this is Power User Guide, Windows 10, integration points to Office 365. My name's Peter Ward. So let me just continue this. A little bit about me. You see a picture of me there, Shara?
Yes, we do. Go ahead.
Okay, cool. Right, so just very quickly, I'm the founder of Soho Dragon, CTO, Skills, Office 365, SharePoint, co-author of 4 SharePoint books, writer of Forbes magazine, co-author of the SharePoint Saturday New York, and Teams Tuesday, which is a meetup, which is occurs every month. My first version of SharePoint was 2003. So just in the chat, what was other people's first version of SharePoint? Can anyone beat that then?
Mine was Microsoft Content Management Server before it was even true.
Hang on, content. Well, that was when you had 2 separate products, wasn't it?
Yeah, it really was just like the web interface that could let you work with documents, but didn't like really do the document management. So
Okay, because in SharePoint 2003, I think you had Content Management Server and SharePoint Server. Content Management Server was external, wasn't it? I remember for websites.
I think so. I think you're right.
Yeah. Okay, I'm based in New York. I'm old school when it comes to projects. I like on time, on budget. My hobbies are yoga, cooking, vegetarian, cook food. Also, I am Microsoft MVP. Okay, so I actually have this slide. Is that the slide you have or not?
Yes. Yep. And that link is good. The feedback link is not good. We're gonna have to wait for the better link for that later.
Right. Okay. So I actually created a video on this. So let me just jump through on this. So these are some of the sponsors. Okay. So Veeam, we've got these are the other sponsors. AvePoint, great backup, Restore, good migration, Quizcom, great products for web part products. They've been around for a long time. On that, let's have a quick look at some of the other. So if you want to improve, take a picture of your QR code if you want to improve the conference. And these are the sponsors here in the raffle. So you've got $100, so definitely enter $250. There's no Xbox, there's no Surface this year. Okay, but you know, Christmas hasn't come that early. Okay, and this is the refresher. And this is the community. Here we are. I think everyone should be familiar with this in terms of the gold sponsors. You've got the hallway where you can say hello to speakers and to other participants as well. Okay, so this is going to be very conversational style. So I find that's the best way of doing this, so people can ask clarifying questions as well. And so feel free to jump in on that on that front. So content. So 2001 is like the earliest one or version we used. Okay, this session will be on my blog, which is right here, wardpeter.com. It has a lot of other stuff on Teams, preliminary and like Power Automate. Okay, I just thought I'd have a cheesecake here because we're in the cheesecake room. I quite like that. I thought it's quite cool how they named all the rooms on this. So let's have some introductions. What's the job titles? Just so I can speak to the attendees. What are people like on a technical level from 1 to 5? Are people very technical, more power user, more end user? Do you just want to put that in the chat? Don't be all too shy. Ravi, Richard, Amy, Ivan. Okay. All right. Okay.
Honestly, Peter, I don't know that I've seen a lot of interaction in the chat. Either people can't chat based on how they're logged in. It would be my suspicion. So,
well, do you want to actually? Is it possible to unmute everybody?
I don't have that control in there.
Okay, so I did that. I did a session like that this morning. I unmuted everyone. Let me just see if I can do that. I can. Okay, I can mute all. Okay, mute all the presenters. I don't want to do that. Okay, allow mic. Yeah, I can actually do that. Okay, I can allow the mic on some of these people.
Now we're getting some chat. Yay! Thank you, Amy.
Thanks, Amy. All right. So I'm going to unmute people as well. Amy, as you're the star, I'll unmute. I will bring you in on this.
So Amy asked, what was your skill level?
Yeah, what was the skill level? Just so I can speak for this. Okay, I can chat. What's your skill level, Amy? Like you're like an admin, dev, power user, end user. Okay. Okay, Amy, can you chat on this? So while people are just going into the chat room, just wanted to thank you for attending this session. Like I know it's a Friday afternoon. Okay, Amy, you're a SharePoint in 2011 power user, Office 365. Okay, so you're got a few years under your belt. Good stuff. Okay, just not a small thank you, but a big thank you for attending this session. Feel free to interrupt me. I have questions at the end of the questions. Follow up with me on LinkedIn as well. Okay, so what makes me qualified to speak on this session? All right, okay, so I'm the CTO and I deliver of Soho Dragon, and we do a lot of technical deliveries with SharePoint, and we had a bit of a revelation last year. And what we discovered was that clients leave us for the same reason why they come to us. Okay, and it's they've installed Microsoft 365 and they don't want to change, but they want something better. So they want a new version of what they already have, but they want to live in the old world. Okay, even though they've paid for the new world, they want to live in the old world. Okay, so even though Soho Dragon were about 11 years old, most companies come to us is because they've got SharePoint already deployed, and they feel like it can do a lot more, and they're very frustrated on the whole thing. Okay, and when we go to the clients and they realize, well, they're still using the Explorer view, which is like this file, which I know now gone away, which is the network drive. They talk about, oh, we want to do workflow, automation, and everything, and we ask for the business cases and even the small stuff. And we always say, let's start small. Let's really start small. When we get comfortable, we can turn the volume up, and then from there, we then sort of like say, let's just do a bit more advanced stuff. And in most cases, people just want to save a file. They want the least friction, the least restrictions, but they don't want to change how they work. Even though they've even attended training classes, they refuse to change. So that's why they come to us and they leave us, because they want SharePoint to do something for them, but they don't want to change. Okay, which really puts us into a bit of an awkward position. Now, doesn't happen to every single one of our clients, but this is what we noticed with a few of our clients who come to us, and then why they leave us is because it is this. And so it's almost as if that change factor was just too confronting. Okay, so basically where this session has come from is that it's basically nudges. Okay, so if you nudge people along to do certain things and encourage people to do small stuff, they then basically sort of like start, like, so we say, it's a classic baby steps and then taking on the big steps. That's really where we are here. Okay, so let's just talk about the agenda. Okay, I'm going to talk about the browser integrations, endpoint policy, bookmarks, taskbar, Teams integration, tasks, OneDrive, Outlook, and then OneNote. That's really what I'm going to do. This is the order I'm going to do. If you do have questions, put them actually into the chat. Shara, you're a trainer, correct? You said you were a SharePoint trainer?
Correct, yeah, Office 365 and SharePoint.
Given what I just said, do you find that's a challenge in getting people adoption?
100%. People, like, to your fact, they either don't have the time to invest in learning something new, but they don't realize it is an investment that will save them time later. Mm-hmm. Or they're like, I've done it for 20 years like this, why would I change? And it's like, because it's easier.
Right. So what would you say is missing between what gets them up to that, get someone that, what are they missing? Everyone wants, if you say to anybody that the number one complaint by people is they always say, I don't have enough time. You're showing them the tools to how to save time, but they don't seem to adopt it. What would you say is missing?
That people don't ask them. People don't ask them what is difficult in their day. So my session earlier was actually about adoption and learning pathways. And you, in order to have people excited about something new, you have to hit it from what's in it for them and why it would be easier. And if you can discover that, you're half the battle. But if they're like, I'm fine the way I am, and they don't realize they're actually in pain, they don't know. Yeah. Okay.
So basically, it's that nudging of the M365, that user adoption, to basically make it more accessible on that. So what I'm showing, so in many ways, I'm showing you enough information to give you ideas to think about, rather than blow by blow account of how to do things. That's like my disclaimer of this session, partly because we've got about 45 minutes, not sort of like 2 days. Okay, so I'm really showing you what's possible, and I'm showing you the pointers of how to implement what I'm doing, rather than actually like giving you all the code. And a lot of that's on blogs or websites, on YouTube videos already. So that doesn't really give you a lot of value if it's already on a blog or a website. Okay, anything with a green dot indicates it's a very important point. Okay. Yeah, okay, so the takeaways. Okay, the key takeaways on this is the Office 365 integration into your Windows 10. Okay, so when you think about SharePoint, you think about it all being web-based. That's not what everyone is. That's not really what it all is. And you can see that now with Teams, which is really SharePoint sites, which is now being brought onto the mobile device and onto your PC. Okay, so what I'm going to show you, I did a video actually of that Windows 10 user experience. So I did a few recordings and I tested this on my employees in the office, and of course they had tons and tons of questions on this, which is great when you're doing a live demo, but when you're doing a recording, it gets challenging. So and then recording for the first bit, and then the second part is a live demo, which all the organizers of these SharePoint Saturdays always say, record everything. Okay, so you'll be seeing a live demo on this. So we're showing you the bookmarks, browser apps, tasks, start menu, OneDrive, and then a couple of non-Microsoft apps, which are that free productivity stuff as well. Okay, so this is the video. So you should hear me talking over the video. If you can't hear me talking, so just say I can't hear you speak, and I'll give some manual commentary to this.
I don't hear any audio.
Okay. Right. Okay. So this is okay. Let me do the talking. That's all fine. This is your typical SharePoint site. Nothing too wild and exciting on that. You've probably recognised that company, and this is the modern site. So I'm going to show you some of the bookmarks in the top. In the top left hand side. So let me just say. So in the top left hand, we've got our categories, our bookmarks. Okay. Now this has got all of our links. This has got all the links to most of the SharePoint stuff and other applications already. All right, so I will be showing you later about how to actually get these standardized across an organization. So endpoint policies. Who's heard of endpoint policies from Azure? I'm assuming because the chat's not working, I'm assuming not many people can answer. Have you heard about endpoint policies, Shara?
I've heard the phrase. I don't know what it means.
Okay, I'll be going into that. So endpoint policies is basically, if it was on-prem, you would have like group policies being pushed out. Right, okay, so what we discovered, it's a little bit like what you said earlier, is people is that learning experience. What's their frustration? And so if you look on this web, if you look on this site right here, we've got everything. We've got the core apps. We've also got the categorized apps as well. Okay, on this, and yeah, you can do all this manually. Okay, but the problem is the golden rule is don't rely on end users to do anything. You want to have a centralized place to actually push out the browsers and push out the stuff onto the user desktop. So you can see you've got the categories, everything's there. It's within 1 or 2 clicks. The reports, okay, all your Office 365 apps. I know you can say, well, hang on a minute, what about all of this stuff's actually on the waffle? That's very true. But if you're on a non-Office 365 application, like I don't know, like Salesforce or your CRM, you won't have the waffle. But here you can easily get to that. You can easily get to your applications. And everyone's seeing it. I said everyone's recognizes all of these tools. Okay, so as a result, by just having that on there, your user adoption, there's no reason anyone cannot get to the stuff very quick. And also for tech support, it makes it a lot easier because you can say, like, go to the server bookmarks, and you can add bookmarks in very, very quickly. And so it's that ease of use, ease of access to everything, not just the sites, but also to libraries as well. Okay, and again, not links, not just basically SharePoint stuff. You can also have any bookmarks. Look at the taskbar on the bottom. You notice I've actually put stuff on the taskbar on the bottom. All of my frequently used apps. Okay, Teams, Word, Outlook. Okay, on that, snag it. Okay, and then in the browser, you've got applications, tasks, and in OneNote video. Okay, so so here in a OneNote video clipper is basically an extension. I'll show you how to put that into the browser. It allows you to clip websites and put it into OneNote. It's excellent if you're doing a lot of research on something. As you can see, I'm researching for hotels and vacations because I have a secret suspicion they're going to start opening up the airports very shortly. That's just a sneaky suspicion. Okay, so I can go to any page. Okay, and needless that, I want to collect as much stuff I can get. This is great for research. Okay, so here I'm actually throwing it into the tasks. Okay, so it's grabbing the URL and it's throwing it into the tasks. Okay, and that goes into Office 365 Office 365 tasks. And that's all integrated into the browser. Okay, so also you actually have the clipper into OneNote. And so this is the great thing where you're not cutting and pasting from this. It will grab the text all into OneNote, and it can put it into your books as well. So you can see how you can collect. If you're doing research on a lot of stuff, you can collect a lot of stuff and just throw it all into OneNote, and then you can just share it around. So I'm a bit of a OneNote junkie, I think so. Okay, so everyone know. I'm assuming this is how you put basically the extensions into Chrome. Okay, this is a good one. If I was going to give you the top best things to put into Chrome, I would say to clear the cache, particularly if you're doing webbound, the to-do list for tasks, which we just did, and the OneNote clipper. Also, Grammarly is good if you're doing a lot. I thought my English was pretty good, but actually it wasn't as good as I thought. Actually, how I got through university is another story. Grammarly is a great plugin for Chrome as well. And this stuff, it doesn't require money. This stuff, everything you have is all free as well. If you Another one you might want to do is Pocket, which is basically saving URLs to references. I'm using that a lot less because I'm now putting it into OneNote. You know, when you read something, you think, oh yeah, I'll look at it, reference it later. That's where I go just throw it into to-dos or into my OneNote clipper. So I'm using Pocket less and less. Does everyone also know that OneNote can also do dictating as well? So you can do audio. And so these are the extensions. I don't know how well this is coming through. I'm going to stop sharing so we can get another do the audioing. Hang on 1 second.
Desktops, which we talked about the top.
Is that coming? Can you hear me talking over the video now?
So OneDrive. So obviously we all know how we can get to OneDrive.
Yeah, we can hear it a little bit. You might want to turn up a little bit.
PMO site. I can go to my documents. Okay, and then of course I can sync this over, and of course I'm going to show you how to do a OneDrive policy to sync.
Okay, so this is now doing OneDrive syncing. Okay, so again, this is the whole. So everything I'm showing you, you can do manually. So I'm showing you manually the user experience, and now I'll be showing you how to get this as a control policy. So in fact, let's just do it right. I'll show you. PMO. So basically, we all know with OneNote you can basically go to your PMO or go to any library and you can hit the sync. Okay, and then of course if you open up your OneDrive, you've got all your syncing here, and that's exactly what we've actually done here. Okay, so what I would be doing is show you as IT how you can push these out automatically using endpoint security. So that's basically the idea behind with the OneDrive. So far I've shown you the bookmarks, okay, up at the top, the browser extensions, which are applications, the OneDrive. Okay, so with the OneDrive here, you can start, if you've got everybody on OneDrive and they love the network drive, there's basically, you know, they think this is the network drive, and the reality is that it's actually not. It's all in SharePoint. Okay. So, and then of course you've got the start menu. So therefore people don't want clicks. So yeah, therefore you can actually put basically we've mapped all of these a lot of the OneDrive stuff into even onto the start menu. So it's even quicker for them to actually get to that information. Current sales, I click here, and therefore it opens up immediately. So there's absolutely no reason why. So if anyway, you could do it on the network drive, but this is the classic case which IT often fails. It's that last 10% of the user experience. Everyone does the upgrades with the latest stuff, but that last 10% which is missing, where it's just like saying, all right, how do we actually create a better user experience? Well, you know, it's got more fields, it's got a better version of Angular, but does it create a better user experience? So therefore we've actually mapped all the drives in here. Let's just talk about a few of the non-Microsoft products. So we've got everything mapped with basically all the OneDrive mappings. So that therefore this is a book I'm writing called Going Remote. Okay, so this is in OneDrive. So there's a great application here called Everything. Have you heard of Everything, Sarah? Okay, Everything allows you to search everything on your desktop very, very quick. Okay, instantaneously. So for example, this is a content page, instantaneously, as quick as that. So of course it's picking up everything in my OneDrive as well. Okay, so as a result, this is much quicker than Delve. Okay, so anything which is in OneDrive is super quickable. I say quickable on that. So by doing this, so like literally anything, so SOWs, so everything's super quick. Notice how quick that is, quicker than Google as well. And I'll be giving you more information on this. Other pretty cool facts as well. Another good thing which we installed on Windows 10 was basically, if I go to the branding, we actually installed this, and this is free. Okay, and it's called Qt Tab Bar, and it basically allows you to do tabbing with the Windows interface. So you can do drop down and you can preview everything. Okay, so we have a few graphic designers who, let's just say they're rather keen on Apple, but when we started showing them this, they really loved this feature. They didn't need to upload stuff, they could preview stuff. It was giving them information much quicker than they could. You can also do right mouse clicks to open up other tabs as well. So therefore you can suddenly just get to the information much quicker on your desktop. But of course, it's not just in your desktop, it's in OneDrive, it's all in SharePoint, and it's all backed up. Right, any questions on that so far? Okay.
None in the chat, so.
Okay,
yeah,
so.
sure.
Oh, okay. So that's the Q bar. Okay, so that's if you want to download this, just do a search on that. That's your Q bar. Again, search everything, desktop, search fertility. That's what I showed you as well. So these are the two non-Microsoft things, which I recommend for that ease of use. Okay, so everything I showed you, okay, bookmarks, the browser apps, the taskbar, start menu, OneDrive. You're probably thinking, well, okay, this is great, Peter. You can do all this manually, can't you? Okay, that's the task browser. You can do a lot of this manually. Like we all know, you can go to OneDrive and do pin to start, and it will do this. But if you're going to have to rely on end users to do it, they just don't do it. They just don't want to change their jobs. They just want to get to what they need to do as quick as possible. Another thing which I just have done is everyone aware in your Outlook and your phone, is everyone aware that basically you can now integrate into tasks? You've now got create a task. So were you aware of that?
I just noticed that the other day, and I'm so excited because
okay. So
I'm all about
right now. Okay, so here I've got my this is my thing there. Top right hand corner, the three Alexas. You can do the tasks, and you can integrate into your tasks. So this is your email going onto your phone, which you're pushing into tasks as well. Oh, right. Okay, so now I'm getting to the part of this is where it gets a little bit more admin. Now, just because it's admin doesn't mean you need to be sort of like a certified Azure ninja in all of this. Okay, because a couple of reasons. A lot of the information is on the web, and on blogs already, and I'm showing you where to get all this as well. So what exactly is Endpoint? Microsoft Endpoint, that's a tool for managing devices as well as applications, which is what you just saw in the last 5 minutes. It's available in an E3, E5 subscription. E3, obviously E5 is a much better subscription. E3, you've got less deployment control on this, so you might have to force people to go up to E5. Intune, you're probably wondering what that is. That's actually part of the endpoint function, the endpoint admin interface. And for those old school who have been doing on-prem, okay, this is all basically System Center Configuration Manager. This is actually for the people who really want to be doing stuff. Okay, doing stuff. So that's really admin. So let's just green dot there. Important. Okay, this is a video. Instead of me doing a video, which no one can see, no one can hear apparently. Well, let me just see if we can people hear me talk over this.
This is the Endpoint Manager admin. Now,
can you hear me speak there, or was it a bit too quiet?
No, it's good.
Was that good?
I could give you a good 8-hour session on this. In the interest of time, that's just not going to happen. So as I said at the start of this session, my disclaimer was I'm really showing you what's possible and where to find information, and you can actually figure out the rest rather than giving you a blow-by-blow account and a whole bunch of series of exercises. And there's also not a great deal of value for me to be showing you stuff that's on blogs that already exists as well. So this is the home page, which you have right here.
Oops, paused.
Let's just look at the devices. Most of our devices are Windows 10. Okay, and then let's look at the config. Yeah, these are the machines. Let's look at the configuration policies. So let's look at this. We've got bookmarks. We've got the default apps. We've got the taskbar configuration, and these are the OneDrive files. Library sales, libraries for marketing, libraries for PMO, which is exactly what I showed you earlier. And yes, you could manually map these, or get the end user to map this. Okay, but have this done in a centralized policy, because these things always change, particularly things like bookmarks, and have it so you can make a change and it gets pushed out. Okay, now I'm going to come on to this in a little bit more, but let's just look at other things. Let's just look at the apps. Windows 10. These are the apps. HubSpot. Let's sign on, and this is the Office Plus. So basically, we're a new machine. This pushes out the applications over. Let's just do add. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to add an app, okay, which we're going to add this to the configuration profile, and that would be pushed out the next time people log in. So I do apps. Let's just do line of business. Select my app. I select it there. Now remember that app, that non-Microsoft app here, which was the Qt tab bar. If I select that, I hit open. I'm adding that to my policy here, and I can fill in the details here. Okay, there's a little bit more to this. Click next, and it'll get added. I'm actually not going to do this because this is our production environment, but you get the idea. So I would add that in here. So what I can, well, let's just open up another tab. If I do apps, Windows, you can see, and if I went to my properties of the apps, the program, you can see basically this is how it will feel in the exe and everything. And so therefore that's where you've got the app.
Okay, so that's that there.
This is the.
Let me just go through that. Okay, any questions so far on this?
Nothing in chat.
Oh, very good, Aaron.
Was that a question? Hang on, who's speaking?
Yeah, no, nothing in chat.
All right, okay, right. So for those who, I'm not like a big SharePoint administrator, you know. I'm certainly not someone who knows a lot about PowerShell either. Okay, but I actually set all of that up. Okay, so you're going to say, well, hang on a minute, how did you do that? You know, what training course? Firstly, all of this is all on the web. Okay, you could do, you know, I'm not saying you can do this on a Saturday afternoon, but you know, on a few Sunday nights, you know, you can actually, if you look at Pluralsight, you could some Pluralsight videos, you can do this all yourself. Look at this. Configure the Windows taskbar. All this is XML. Okay, and you can even cut that from this. Okay, that's the URL to do this. This will show you how to customize the start. Everything I showed you is all on this URL. Okay, and if you want to put it in the Chrome policy for the managed bookmarks, okay, this is the URL here to do this. Okay, this will show you how to do it. So let's just talk about a few things on this. So let me just go into the administration. Okay, does everyone see my Microsoft Endpoint Manager? I'm assuming that's a yes. So we talked about the devices, okay, and the Windows and the configuration policies. Okay, this is what I was referring to there. Everything's there. I'm even going to put this in the chat for you folks. Okay, how to start the taskbar, the group policy. It's all there. So let's just talk about with the bookmarks. You saw the bookmarks, properties. Okay, and I'm not going to delete this, but I might edit it. That's the XML there. And here's a top question for everybody. What is the best XML editor out there? Any suggestions? I just showed you there. Notepad++. Okay, it color codes everything very well, actually, but it's actually very good at managing it. Notepad's good, but this is much better on this. But if you look at this, okay, it's very easy for a non-technical person to add in additional bookmarks when URLs are not working. You can just edit these and then just put these back in, and the next time somebody logs in, it basically gets updated. On that, let's just look at some of the other policies, the configuration policies. Let's look. We talked about the OneDrive. Okay, that's good. Thank you. These are the policies, OneDrive. Okay, so this is everything we're just pushing out. Now, all of this is basically, a lot of this is already in your endpoint, and as a result, you actually don't, hence not configured. Okay, so a lot of this all might look complicated, but you can start off very simple and do this. So if you're going to start, so if you're working for a bigger company and you're going to speak to IT, chances are they've already got policy. They're using endpoint already to push out policies already. Okay, I would be astonished if IT is not pushing out things such as auto sign-on, security policies, log off if there's any inactivity. They probably want to have the firewall enabled on most people's Windows 10 PCs. So they've already got the Intune endpoint set up. If you spoke to them and said, right, I want to put these bookmarks in the browser. Okay, I want to have the OneDrive synced in, pushed out to certain people, and then the taskbar. Okay, and then the default apps. Okay, they're already doing this, and in many ways you could just point them to the URLs of this site, and they can do it. They can actually do this themselves. So if we look at the taskbar configuration, it's a lot of it's all very. A lot of it's there, and the content is all there. These are the applications I was showing you earlier. Okay, so really there's no, in terms of that knowledge, so this is what I'm telling you, one of the purposes of this session is to show you what's possible and how to get the information. But a lot of this is all on the web. It's on this Microsoft document or page, which I've just sent you. Okay, endpoint security. This is basically, I'm not going to talk about that. That's typically what IT will be doing. So we've talked about the devices. Now, please note, I'm really, as you can see, I'm really only, we're doing Windows. I'm not doing anything on Intune, the Mac, or anything else. That's another topic as well. And I'll be honest, I'm probably not the post. All I've done is push this out into Windows 10. Okay. However, I suspect it's probably not much different. It just requires a bit of reading to have it on the Android and getting stuff from the OS store as well. Okay, so let's go back to the PowerPoint. Okay, the questions. We asked a few things on the questions. Okay, these are some useful links. Okay, about the browser, getting started with the Endpoint Manager. And this guy, Andy Malone, MVP, he's got great stuff as well. Also, does everyone know you can use WhatsApp on your PC? Does everyone know that?
I thought it was just a phone thing.
No, it's actually so it's very good actually. If you this was requested by our salespeople. Okay, I did ask which clients are you speaking to on WhatsApp actually on this, but by doing this, you can, by having the WhatsApp, I don't want to get too on this. You basically, you can, there's actually a website, very simple to do. If you go to this website, this is in the PowerPoint.
Peter, are you making the PowerPoint available afterwards?
I can do that. There you go. If you, I think it's actually recorded there. This is the URL. That's the URL WhatsApp. If you just scan that with your phone, all your WhatsApp from your phone is synced in onto your PC. So this is great when you've got. So now the only disadvantage of this is that you've got a company PC and you're getting all your personal stuff in there coming up onto the thing as well. But you know, in terms of keyboard and quickness as well, it's great to do this. Okay. So now, okay, I'm going to talk about the tasks, OneDrive, Outlook, OneBoard, and OneNote. Right. So let's just talk about a few things on OneNote. One of the everyone's heard of these. I'm just going to show you a few things to basically how I use things like OneNote particularly well. So one of the things which I've done with OneNote is that I actually bookmark it in my browser, and I have my to-do today tasks as well. So as a result, I've got all of my, the section stuff and the plan, but also I've got all of my other stuff, all of my tasks. So yeah, I can do it on a bit of paper. So this is front, left, and center. So if anything, the takeaway of this session is really how to make the Office 365 technology incorporated into Windows 10. So really, it's just so in your face, and it's just so clickable. You know, there's no reason why you can't find that information. So basically, all of my to-do list tasks, I've actually just done that the presentation. Okay, all of my are all in there. It's all on the browser. So therefore, it's all bookmarks. When I'm on the phone with somebody and somebody's trying to get me stuff, give me something to do, I would just put that there, and I would just throw that onto the OneNote. Notice I'm using the OneNote in the browser rather than the client. So I switched over to the browser it's like 2 years ago, and it's just as good. It does everything you need it to do as well. So this is a great to-do list tasks on that. And then you've got the personal stuff, and then I've got all my other stuff like the yoga, quotes, demos, and then you know the sections. I'm not going to do a OneNote session here, but it's like OneNote is a great productivity tool on that. So therefore, I've got everything here. But it's the quick notes and bookmarking it in your browser makes it a lot more accessible and easier to get to. So you can just shove stuff very, very quickly on that. Right, let's just talk about, okay, OneDrive, I've mentioned about that. So let's just talk about meetings as well. So of course, I'm doing a Teams session. Actually, let me just, I'll go into my Office 365 Teams browser. So notice I'm using the Teams browser in the browser much more. Okay, so let's just look at my calendar. So you've got your meeting notes, which I'm going to find Whiteboard. Okay, now this basically only works well if you've got a Surface and you've got a touch screen. So in your book, in meetings in OneNote, you can actually have whiteboards. Okay, and of course, live demo here, and it's gone wrong. Let me just give it a quick another spin. If it doesn't work, we'll flick back to the client. There you go. So basically, this is a classic case. If you've got a touchscreen pen, okay, and you'll save it in the browser, but also in your apps in Office 365, you've also got the whiteboard in there. I'll just show that to you. All apps. So therefore you have your whole collection. So this was my Teams. That was the whiteboard here. I did it in Greg's one-on-one. I'm assuming it's going to be in here. Live demo here should come up. There you go, instantaneously, so you can find it very well. So also, Whiteboard is installed on your PC. I can even probably add that to my start menu right now, or speak to IT and they can put it in a script. So this is, okay, I was about to say this is a little bit out of sync, okay, but it's actually fine. Okay, so that's basically the thing there where it's gone. You can see it's in sync on that. So let me just get out of this. Okay, so let me just get the PowerPoint back up. So therefore we talked about the tasks. Okay, the other thing as well, this is pretty good on the tasks. Let me just talk. This is a new, I have to say, with the amount of releases coming out with SharePoint, it's getting quite, and Teams. When you've now got conversations going on, okay, you can now actually add, you can go create tasks in discussions with this. So this is the whole integration. Teams isn't on its own. You can now integrate into the whole Office 365 suite is very much now integrated. Okay, so I can now assign this into Teams, into a team. Other thing as well, which I find one of my favorite features. This is a little thing that's come up. I can basically share an Outlook. So there I'm in Teams, and this message can be sent in Outlook. Okay, and vice versa as well. Okay, so
I love that new capability because now we can start directing people to use Teams when we, if they keep insisting on sending emails.
Oh yes.
Forward it to Teams and eventually, like you use your word, nudge them, get them there. Right?
Okay. Yes. Yes, you could say that. So, for example, if you look at my Outlook here, I'll try and show you something which is less confidential. Okay. Okay, so this is actually a video here. Email comes in, I can now push this across into Teams as well. So therefore, vice versa, from Teams to Outlook, Outlook to Teams. Oddly enough, it's the people who complain about all the email are the very people who send all the email as well. So that's basically in also into the Teams. Also, let me just. Another thing you can actually do is, okay, if you flag items, it goes into the to-do list tasks. So therefore, that was the OneNote. This is the Outlook integration into Teams, and then the OneDrive as well, OneNote as well, which I showed you there. All right, so let's just summarize. I showed you about the browser extensions, the endpoint policy with the bookmarks, the tasks, and the Teams integration. If I was to say to you, like, what's your big takeaway from this session? It's the endpoint policy. Most organizations have got this, but those key little things about adding applications to the start menu, the task menu, mapping OneDrive to people's PCs, that's that last 10% of that user experience. Where if you can get IT to do this, then it just makes the whole Office 365 SharePoint experience, it reduces the friction of all of this. All right, this is the end of the presentation where you all clap. Okay, I'm sure I can hear you all clapping. Okay, I run a Teams Tuesday meetup. Okay, that happens every month. Feel free to register on that. I will even copy the URL into the chat. Okay, you can get hold of me on LinkedIn. That's probably the best way of doing this. And if you have any questions, The Whiteboard, yep, the Whiteboard's a good version actually. You need a surface. It's just not particularly. It's almost like using paint. Unless you're using you've got a pen on the surface, it's not particularly great, but it is a good thing. On that, any questions? I'm assuming that's a no.
There's, again, I'm not sure people can chat. I know they can't unmute themselves on the Start Presenter.
Windows 11. Okay, let's have a look at Windows 11. I've seen the chatter on the Windows 11, and as an MVP, can't speak too much more on that. But it's gonna be a good upgrade. Okay, yep, that's coming up. Yeah, I knew it was coming up at the end of the month. Yeah. Thank you, John, for sharing that on that. But yeah, that's good stuff. All right, you've got details. I'll put my LinkedIn profile in LinkedIn for you guys.
That's great information. I love it when people surface content that I didn't know about. You know, you think you use Windows, and I'm not a coder, so I would go and hack things, but I can copy and paste. well, if anything, like if you look at technology, one of the things, if you look at this technology over the last, I know 100 years, but if you just look at it in the last like 20, 30 years, the key thing is that it de-skills the worker. Like, you know, we now, like, you know, like I could take a picture of my family and it's professionally looks good. 20 years ago, I'd have to get a professional photographer to do this. Okay, so you look at that endpoint. If you look at that group, you know, you might think, oh, admin, they don't know how to do this. But yeah, you can now do this quite well. Same as with Power Apps and the form. You used to have a coder to have to build the forms out and put all the logic and validation in. Power Apps has made it a lot easier to do. Same, and if you look at SharePoint on-prem, it was always a bit of a science project to get it deployed. Okay, on-prem. Now you can spin it up in minutes. Yeah, and you don't have to be the coder to do that.
No.
Yeah.
So it's much more accessible for things.
I always say I'm a ABC consultant, anything but code.
Anything but code. Yeah. And ironically, now we're sort of like, we're all viewed as technology companies. Okay, but the reality is you can do so much without doing the coding, and it's that knowledge as well. Like it's almost like in internal IT, you've just got that power user who can just show people how to do things, point things, and just that last 10% of that user experience. You know, you will get some good productivity wins.